Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Executive Chairman of Google, Eric Schmidt.
We're already seeing science fiction become reality today thanks to these changes. Think back to Star Trek, or my favorite, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Much of what those writers imagined is now possible. Translation, German to English, or vice versa. Portuguese to German to English. Voice recognition, right? Listening to my voice, translating it perfectly. Electronic books. The people who predict that intelligent robots, virtual reality, and self-driving cars that will soon be commonplace are right. These technological advantages will redefine the way we live and the way we interact with each other.
Hello, this is Douglas Adams. I'm afraid I couldn't be here at the moment because I'm out. But if you want to leave a message, then do so when you hear the tone. Beep!
Happy 60th, Douglas. Just heard a rather ridiculous rumour that you were dead, which would be really annoying if you were, because all your books are still in the bookstores and everyone's still talking about you, and there was a BBC4 series of yours that started this week, so that's more than can be said for almost anyone in the theatre. So congratulations on showing how considerably more successful you are dead than we all are alive. I'm sure you're having a quiet chuckle about that up in heaven. Actually, you're probably off having an enormous lunch with Steve Jobs, having completely forgotten that this was happening.
Beep. Hello, Douglas. This is Neil Gaiman wishing you a very happy virtual 60th birthday, wherever you currently are or aren't.
Beep.
Hey, Douglas. This is for your virtual 60th, wherever you are in the universe. Have a hoopy time. I'm sure you will.
Happy virtual 60th, Douglas. I just wish you were here.
From the original Trillian of all those years ago, very happy virtual birthday, Douglas.
25 years ago, I got to work with Douglas, putting together a book. And then he was my friend. I still miss him. And he was a genius.
Beep. Hi, Douglas. Happy virtual 60th birthday. Here I am, Rob Swann, in the Antarctic continent. And Douglas, you all inspired us hugely and told us that the meaning of life was actually 42. Well, for me it's 41. In the year 2041, my mission is to make sure that we leave one place alone on Earth forever, the Antarctic continent, and you inspired me to do that. I was always hugely involved with Save the Rhino because I know wherever you are, you're in our hearts. You would agree that here we have the last great wilderness on Earth. No one owns this place. Just lots of love to you all. This is Rob Swann. Message ends.
Beep.
I just wish Douglas was here so that I could tell him how grateful I am for what he said about me. He described me as an inspirational teacher and went on to say, Frank Halford once gave me 10 out of 10 for a story, which was the only time he did throughout his long school career. And even now, when I have a dark night of the soul as a writer and think that I can't do this anymore, the thing that I reach for is not the fact that I have had bestsellers or huge advances. It is the fact that Frank Halford once gave me 10 out of 10, and at some fundamental level, I must be able to do it. What greater reward can a schoolmaster have than to hear those generous words, which I should treasure for the rest of my life? Thank you, Douglas.
Way back in the midst of time, I was an avid sci-fi fan. The books of John Wyndham and Isaac Asimov and on the radio, Journey into Space, and there wasn't a lot of it about when I was young. And then suddenly in the 70s, along came something on the radio that, I won't say transformed my life, but really gave me a lift because it was talking to me, and it was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it was genius. I heard it on the radio, and then I read the books and I saw the television version, each one of which had its own merits. Dirk Gently, more genius. And he was part of the history of Doctor Who before I came to it. So the man should be celebrated, and celebrated in such a good cause as saving the Rhino. What more can you ask for?
Hello, Polyphase Avatron here. You may know me from off the telly. Nice to see you, Nice. Now what I've done, of course, is I borrowed someone else's voice to wish my creator Douglas Adams a hearty virtual 60th. Now there's a hoopy frood who really knew where his towel was. Shh, wait a minute. Where's everybody gone? What? In the bar? Oh, pieces of silicate! They could have waited for me. Mine's a large one, shipmates, as the captain said to the cabin boy. Yes, it's a good one, Ned.
What I would have told Douglas if he had still been alive, and it was very selfish of him to die, I would have told him about the growth of the e-book, replacing the laminated wood pulp variety that he found so difficult to write. He would have been thrilled about the e-book. And now in 2012, it's making most of the money that the publishing industry still manages to make. And what else would I have told him?
He was always saying, come up, you've got to hear this. This is in stereo, it comes off my computer, it's great, etc. And what I really miss, to be honest, about Douglas, is that I miss that first enthusiasm where he'd be the person who was introducing me to whatever it was, the newest thing, the latest program, which would inevitably be Apple.
Can you imagine Douglas Adams with an iPad? Can you? I mean, it would be there, he'd be staring at it, he'd be looking at two things. He'd be looking at one of the glories of technology, but he'd be looking too at something that he himself virtually invented. It is as close to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy as exists. I have friends who have Don't Panic written on the back of theirs. It is basically Douglas's dream come true. And there are a thousand reasons for missing Douglas, but one of the greatest is the look on his face when he would be playing with an iPad.
I would have told him about those pesky neutrinos that allegedly went faster than light.
I'd like to take him to CERN. I'd like to show him the neutrino experiments. I'm sure he's watching from wherever he is, but that's the most fantastic piece of news, that there are these things that work faster than light. And I believe Douglas was tapping into that all those years ago. He knew all about it.
Except just in the last week, people have suggested they didn't really go faster than light, and that it was an instrumentation error. And so disappointing. We were all looking forward to them going faster than light, even though it would have given everybody a migraine.
He would be amazed how interested everyone else is in his reaction to what the world would be were he still here. I think he would be amazed and of course as enthusiastic as ever.
I would love to be able to tell him now that even 20 years later, more than 20 years later, I bump into people who say, I'm now studying biology or environmental science, or I'm a ranger working on this reserve, or I'm working for this conservation group, and the reason I'm doing it is because of Douglas Adams, because he inspired me all those years ago. And I think he would have been incredibly proud if he had known that.
And I was just thinking that the great sadness is, apart from, an early death is a terrible thing, but the great sadness is that he could have written more, and I think he would have written differently because of his daughter, because he would have been a father. And it's a great human loss that he won't experience that. But it's a loss to us that we don't get and won't get Douglas's take on fatherhood, growing older with a daughter growing up and possibly with more children. And his take, considering what his take is constantly on life, would have been fantastic to know about.
Happy birthday, Uncle Douglas. Happy birthday, Uncle Douglas. Happy birthday, Uncle Douglas. Happy birthday to you.
So, happy 60th birthday, Big Doug, as I think I virtually never called you. Can we cut before the spit? Is that okay?